All right, go ahead.
Okay. Good afternoon, all members of Parliament. I will be your presiding officer for today's sitting. A moment of silence, please, for the opening prayer. Almighty God, we humbly beseech Thee to guide and direct us in all our deliberations, that we may make wise decisions for the welfare of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you. We now commence with the first debate between the Dominion Corporate Council and the United People Partnership on the topic, Leaders Are Born, Not Made. The affirmative party, Dominion Corporate Council. Can you please confirm who will be your first speaker? Would that be the Honorable Prime Minister?
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Great. So well done. Well, the Honorable Prime Minister, you have the floor. You may begin.
Mr. Speaker, honorable members of the House, opposition team, and esteemed guests, good afternoon. It is both a privilege and an honor to stand before you today representing the affirmative team, the Dominion Corporate Council, DCC, on the motion that leaders are born, not made. My name is Ria Manikchan, Prime Minister of the affirmative team, and it is with great conviction that I present opposition on this critical issue. Leadership in its purest form is not something that can be fully taught or acquired. It is an inherited quality deeply rooted in an individual's natural traits and genetic tendencies. When we say leaders are born, we refer to those whose ability to lead stems from innate qualities shaped by both genetics and an inherited personality that sets them apart. We firmly believe that leadership is not merely a product of education or training, but is fundamentally shaped by these inborn characteristics. Our case will be presented through two central arguments. One, the foundational role of genetics in leadership, including inherited behavioral tendencies and values that influence an individual's capacity and approach to leading. Two, the indispensable nature of instinctual traits such as charisma, confidence, and emotional intelligence, which cannot be manufactured or taught, and which distinguish natural born leaders from others. These points will demonstrate that while training and experience may refine leadership abilities, they cannot create the natural character, vision, or resilience required to lead effectively. True leadership emerges from the core of an individual, shaped by qualities that cannot be learned but are part of who they are. In conclusion, we stand firm in our position. Leaders are born, not made. It is these innate abilities, shaped by genetics and natural instinct, that define the essence of true leadership. We look forward to elaborating on these arguments throughout the debate and are confident by its conclusion you will be convinced of the undeniable truth of our stance. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much for your contribution, Honorable Prime Minister. We will now proceed on a 2-minute intermission, where we will then resume with the first speaker from the opposing party, the UPP. Thank you very much. 30 seconds left before we resume. Okay, so we now resume with the first main speech from the opposing party, member for Toko of the UPP. You have the floor.
Good afternoon, Mr. Speaker, honorable members of the Parliament and the audience. Mr. Speaker, today the United People's Partnership rise to strongly oppose the motion that leaders are born, not made. Having said that, let me state clearly, leaders is not an exclusive gift given to a lucky few at birth, but instead it is a skill, a mindset, and a quality that may be developed and perfected through experience, education, and work. Mr. Speaker, if leaders were this simply born, then the world would not need schools, mentor, or training sessions. Let us begin by understanding what leadership truly means. Leadership is not just about commanding a room or speaking with charisma. It is about the ability to inspire, guide, motivate others towards a common goal. It involves problem solving, critical thinking, empathy, resilience, and adaptability. These are not traits that someone is simply born with, Mr. Speaker. These are qualities that develop over time, shaped by life experiences, challenges, and opportunities. However, given history and ordinary life shows us many examples of persons who, at a certain moment, took leadership because of strong will, hard work, or even some barriers they have managed to overcome. Mr. Speaker, let us take Mahatma Gandhi, for example. Would you call him a leader? Certainly not. He was a timid lawyer who performed poorly in public speaking in his formative years. But with self-control, education, love for his purpose, he became the greatest leader that the world has ever witnessed. This was why Gandhi believed that leadership skills are learnable. With enough time and will, one can develop them. Mr. Speaker, I would like to conclude. We, the UPP, will contend that leaders are indeed made and not born. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, member of Toko, for your contribution. We will now commence to a 2 minutes intermission where we will resume with the debate for the first rebuttal with the affirmative party Dominion Corporate Council. Thank you very much. We have 30 seconds before we resume. We now resume with today's debate on leaders are born, not made. We resume with the Dominion Corporate Council. Honorable Minister of Leadership, you now have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, members of the House, I greet you this afternoon with respect and gratitude. Mr. Speaker, as a Minister of Leadership, it is my privilege to share insight on what leadership truly entails and the critical qualities that define a leader. Firstly, a leader is someone who guides, influences, or directs a group, organization, or community. Leadership involves setting goals, making decisions, and motivating others to achieve common objectives. A leader typically embodies qualities like vision, integrity, communication, empathy, and the ability to inspire and unite people towards a shared purpose. Leaders can be found in various contexts, such as in business organization and political to community and social organization. Secondly, according to Trade's theory of leadership, leaders are born and not made. This theory argues that leaders have certain inborn traits such as confidence, charisma, or strong communication skill. This is genetic. It means they actually inherited before they were born. Be- because the genetic they inherit allow them to naturally inspire others and make difficult decisions effectively. Charisma. Some persons possess a natural ability to connect with others, influence their options, and lead them towards a common goal. And this charisma is often seen as something that cannot be easily taught or developed but is naturally born with. Confidence. Born leaders are often perceived as people with commanding presence and natural confidence. Some people are born with a higher level of self assurance and some are not. Persons who are naturally self-confident have a high tolerance for stress and excel in social interaction may be more inclined to take on leadership roles and succeed in them. Persons who are born to be leaders can be recognized by many because they have strong communication skills that express their thoughts clearly, listen carefully, and adapt their message to resort with different audience. Their words inspire action and clarify. Confidence without ignorance, they remain composed under pressure. They inspire others with a clear sense of direction and purpose. This is how persons can recognize a born leader. Mr. Speaker, an example of a born leader was Dr. Eric Williams. As the father of nation, Dr. Williams was instrumental in guiding the country to independence from the British in 1962. His intelligence and charismatic salute him as a natural leader who inspired nation pride and unity. Thanks, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the privilege to state my points this afternoon.
Thank you very much for your contribution, Minister of Leadership. We will now proceed on a 2 minutes intermission where we will resume with the second rebuttal from the UPP. 30 seconds. We will now resume with the second rebuttal from the UPP. MP for Bacchanal, you have the floor. MP for Bacchanal. Parliament member, yes,
Right.
you have the floor.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and a pleasant good evening to the members of the Parliament. Mr. Speaker, I'm going to challenge the myth of this natural-born leader. Mr. Speaker, my honorable colleagues on the opposite side would have us believe that leadership is some mystical quality bestowed upon a chosen few at birth. This is a romanticized idea, but it lacks any foundation in reality. Leadership is not merely a matter of charisma or genetic inheritance, as I heard. It is a complex interplay of skills, experiences, and learning. Yes, Mr. Speaker, someone may be born with traits like extroversion or confidence, but let us be clear here, let's be real. Confidence without competence leads to disaster, not leadership. Leadership, honorable members, requires critical skills such as problem solving, emotional intelligence, and adaptability, skills that are acquired through effort, not inherited through lineage. Honorable members, if leaders was truly born and not made, why then the government or corporations would invest so heavily in leadership training programs? Shall we tell the military academies around the world, institutions renowned for producing leaders, to shut the doors because leadership cannot be taught? Of course not, Mr. Speaker. The very existence of these programs proves that leadership is something that can be nurtured and developed. To my colleagues on the opposite side, I ask, why do leaders from Nelson Mandela to Martin Luther King Jr. credit their journeys to mentorship and life experiences rather than claiming they were born into greatness? Mr. Speaker, those in favor of the proposition may point to genetics, claiming that leadership traits are hereditary. However, studies in behavioral psychology have shown that only 30% of leadership potential is influenced by genetics, while 70% is shaped by education, experiences, and environment. Therefore, I must ask, how can the opposing side cling to the idea that leadership is something innate when the vast majority of evidence shows it is cultivated? Mr. Speaker, this House must also consider the dangerous implications of the proposition. Believing that leaders are born creates a defeatist mindset. It discourages individuals from aspiring to leadership roles because they feel they lack the natural qualities. It also fosters elitism, where only a select few are deemed worthy of leading. So, and I will close with saying we must
Thank you
reject.
very much, Minister of
Yes.
Bacchanal. Your time is up. Thank you very much for your contribution.
Okay.
We will
Thank you.
now resume. Yes, we will now proceed on a 2-minute intermission, where we will resume with the conclusion from the Dominion Corporate Council. Thank you very much. To the seconds till we resume. We now resume with the conclusion of the first debate, Leaders Are Born Not Made. Member from the Dominion Corporate Council, Honorable Minister of Land and Settlement, you now have the floor.
Good afternoon, Mr. Speaker, respected opposition, and everyone present today. As we have reached the final stage of this debate, I'd like to take a moment to address some key points made by the opposition and reinforce why the argument that leaders are born holds true. Leadership is not simply a set of skills you can learn. It's rooted in inherent qualities that some individuals are born with. And I'll explain why these natural traits are essential to true leadership. Mr. Speaker, the notion that leaders are born is not only valid, but also reflects a fundamental truth about leadership. While it is true that leadership can be nurtured and developed over time, certain acquired qualities are crucial to effective leadership, and these traits are often present from birth. If the opposition argues leaders are made through experiences, we can confidently point to an example of a leader who displayed extraordinary leadership potential from an early age without extensive formal training. Alexander the Great, a legendary figure who, at a young age, commanded armies and inspired devotion. This leader didn't need to be made. His leadership potential was already within him, and the circumstances around him allowed his potential to flourish. Charisma, confidence, decisiveness, and the ability to inspire others are characteristics that are typically intuitive in natural born leaders, and these qualities cannot be easily taught or replicated. No amount of books or theories cannot teach these natural qualities, Mr. Speaker. While the opposition may argue that leadership skills can be developed, the reality is that not everyone possesses the natural temperaments or instincts required to lead in the most challenging situations. A person can undergo leadership training and gain experience, but without that core set of instinctual traits, such as emotional intelligence, resilience, or the ability to command respect, true leadership cannot emerge. Some individuals are simply born with these attributes, and they are the ones who are most likely to rise to leadership positions, regardless of formal training or experience. Additionally, natural born leaders often exhibit a level of self assurance and vision that drives them to pursue leadership roles, even in the absence of external encouragement or training. They possess a natural understanding of how to navigate complex social dynamics and motivate others often without needing to consciously think about these interactions. It is these instincts and natural abilities that set them apart from those who might be trained to lead but never truly embodied these essence of leadership. In summary, while experience and development may play a role, true leadership starts with intrinsic qualities that certain individuals are simply born with. Leadership is not merely a set of skills that can be learned. It is an ingrown calling that requires natural traits and characteristics that cannot be manufactured or taught. Therefore, leaders are in fact born and not made. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister of Land and Settlement. We will now proceed on a 2-minute intermission where we will resume with the second conclusion from the UPP. Thank you. Thirty seconds left before we resume. We now resume with the second and final conclusion for the topic, leaders are born and not made. MP of Maruga, you have the floor.
Good afternoon, Mr. Speaker, esteemed adjudicators, and honorable members of the House. Today, the UPP rise to firmly oppose the motion that leaders are born, they are not made. Leadership is not an inherent
birth. It is the result of growth, learning, and resilience. Allow me to condense my argument into three core points: genetic versus learned skills, the role of the environment, and the danger of believing leadership is innate. Mr. Speaker, leadership is not determined by DNA. While traits like confidence or charisma may be influenced by genetics, they are insufficient on their own to create effective leaders. Leadership demands emotional intelligence, decision-making skills, and experience, qualities that are cultivated, not inherited. Consider the ability to lead in a crisis. Is someone naturally born knowing how to navigate complex situations or mitigate conflict? Of course not. These are skills earned through education, mentorship, and practice. Leaders must learn how to communicate effectively, inspire trust, and strategize under pressure. Minister of Leader announced that Dr. Eric Williams, Trinidad and Tobago first Prime Minister, was a born leader. But I strongly disagree. While he possessed natural intellectual, his leadership abilities were not innate. They were sharpened through years of historical research, public service, and deep engagement with the people of his nation. These were not traits in his DNA, but skills he developed through effort and experience. Leadership, Mr. Speaker, is a skill set, not a birthright. It is a process of growth that every individual has the potential to undertake. Mr. Speaker, leaders are shaped by their experiences and the challenges they face. Adversity builds resilience, adaptability, and problem-solving skills. Without these challenges, leadership potential often remains untapped. The late Basil Pandey, Trinidad and Tobago first Indo-Trinidadian Prime Minister, grew up in a culturally diverse yet economically challenging environment. These circumstances taught him empathy and a commitment to addressing inequality. His leadership will further develop through his experience in law, trade unionism, and political activism, none of which were inherited traits. Leadership development thrives in an environment that provides learning opportunities, program in schools, mentorship, and professional challenges all contribute to the nurturing of leadership qualities. It is through such experiences that individuals learn to communicate effectively, think critically, and adapt to diverse situations. Mr. Speaker, the belief that leaders are born is not only flawed, but harmful. It creates an elite system where leadership seems exclusive, discouraging individuals from diverse backgrounds from aspiring to lead. If this belief were true, figures like Keith Rowley, who grew up in a humble circumstances in Mason Hall, Tobago, might never have had the opportunity to rise to leadership. His achievements demonstrate that with effort and opportunity, anyone can lead regardless of their beginnings. Furthermore, this belief devalues investment in leadership development. Why would we need leadership training, mentorship program, or professional development if leaders were simply born? Such a mindset undermines the system that empower individuals to rise to leadership. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, leaders is not a matter of faith, but of effort. Leaders are shaped by their experiences, trained through education, and refined through challenges. History, science, and reliability provides overwhelming evidence against this outdated belief. I urge this House to reject the motion with conviction, for leadership is a journey, not a birthright. Let us affirm that with determination, opportunity, and growth, anyone can lead and inspire. As the great John F. Kennedy once said, leadership and learning are indispensable to each other. Let us move forward with this truth in our hearts. Mr. Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you very much for your contribution, MP of Maruga. The moderators will now proceed on a 15-minute deliberation and provide you with our results after. Thank you very much.